So next up we have Sandy versus Alexis, and interestingly enough, they have a history of using similar decks. From what Alexis told me, and this is from her mouth, so if there's any part of this that is true, isn't true, or anything, I'm just stating it. A lot of what Sandy does with her deck and her units, especially Neonectar specifically, are benefited from Alexa's influence.
Did you actually check if there was double mulligan or not?
God damn, I should have. Video pause. Okay, so apparently there's no double mulligan.
Okay.
And it's hurting Sandy as much as it is Alexis. Because
The,
Sandy has to G assist now.
sucks.
And the worst part is because the units are removed from play, it means that there are gonna be Neonectars, there are gonna be Musketeer units that Sandy
Are
just
no
won't
longer.
be able to use no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And those are all good units that she would want to use. I mean, I expect the Sylvia to be one of the cards that are taken out, which even then it's a good unit that she would want to use if she had the option. But everything outside of that, she'd probably really want to keep.
We'll just see what she does.
It probably I don't know if it's gonna be this way, but I would expect her to take out Sylvia and Vera. Sylvia and a Vera.
Yeah.
Removes 2 Harmonic Messiah. And then okay, Vera and Sylvia both went back to hand. So one of those 4 units is going in. Still one Vera left. I expect that to be removed. And then I guess the other one would be a trigger. Oh no.
Nope.
It was actually a Gusto, which means she just lost a 12k attacker. It might be difficult for her to be aggressive later on because of that.
Yeah.
Alexis starts by riding the Wash Up Raccoon. Because what we need is a raccoon. No guards and gets a Researcher Fox. So if she was misriding a grade 2, she doesn't have to G assist now.
Mm.
Rides Sylvia and gets Marantia from it. Sylvia checks the top and calls any Musketeer despite the grade. Alexis made it out of that with only 1 damage, and it was a critical trigger. Alexis' deck actually gets stronger the more damage it takes, but she also wants stuff in the drop zone. So it's a weird balance.
Yeah.
Like, if she gets the break ride, then by the time she actually gets the ability to break ride, she won't end the game, but she'll pull it really heavily in her favor. Because that's when you see the 10 to 12 card hand while the opponent has almost nothing because they have to guard so much.
Yeah. Wait, why is she striding?
What? Opponent is at grade 2, that doesn't work. And, Sandy just realized it. So, that grade 3 goes back into the hand. I think Stride is turning into muscle memory. This is one of the reasons why I said it would have been good if it was automated a bit more, just for the sake that it would stop people from using it incorrectly and people not catching it. Because we get a lot of those people who just think about striding in the first chance they get, even when they can't. So she put the stand trigger back into the deck in order to get a 9k booster, which means that column is hitting for 20k. Alexis doesn't guard, and 16k from the Vanguard. But one thing to note is that she kind of minused her own hand by getting rid of a 10k shield, and the twin drive is going to have to make up for that. If she gets grade 3s in a twin drive check, then she's going to be really disadvantaged. She's going to have a real disadvantage in terms of her shields.
Yeah.
Lexus perfect guards the Vanguard, and 2 5Ks. She broke even in what she did.
Mm-hmm.
So Alexis's turn. As long as she has a grade 3 in hand, she should be fine. And she gets Tester Fox, the Legion. Calls Compass Lion. And retires it. She wants the Legion immediately.
Hmm.
I know what she wants to do and what she's going to do with this. I wonder if maybe she's being a little too hasty about it. But a lot of positive things should come from this for her, so.
Yeah.
She attacks 20k with the Vanguard. It gets blocked for 2 to pass. 4k went to the Researcher Fox, so even if a trigger doesn't appear, it can still hit. Oh, Sandy's no passing. She's trying to get Legion, that's why. And Alexi heals.
It's good for her.
The shuffle helped.
Mm-hmm.
And now Researcher Fox retires, and end phase abilities activate.
Mm-hmm.
She gets 2 draws, one for Alm and one for the Legion skill, because it was a unit in the because it was a unit in the Vanguard circle. She gets a draw, and she also gets 2 units on the field back in the drop zone back into the deck. Thanks to the heal, she has exactly 2, so it works out for her. And she also gets to counterblast 1 to put a Researcher Fox from the deck back in hand, and then shuffle.
Mm-hmm.
Tester Fox would have put the cards back at the bottom, but because of Researcher Fox, she gets to shuffle anyway.
Yep, yep.
Not to mention that Tester Fox also unflips damage, but that's the first thing it does, so it doesn't count for her using the ability there. But for any time after, she's going to get an unflip before she gets those abilities off again. So it's basically a counterblast loop where she's going to keep unflipping and flipping the same damage.
Mm-hmm. Which is stupid.
And
I
you
don't
can
have a loop.
and you can see the you do, but it's different.
I don't have a loop, bitch.
You have retirement loops.
That's not a loop.
You retire things in a loop. You retire in a circle, so that's the loop.
That's not actually necessarily true. That's not true at all. What the fuck are you talking about? But well, I mean, unless you mean my Shadow Paladin one. But even then, it's not a loop. I have to have the hand and the ability to restand and counterblast and all that shit.
A loop with setup is still a loop.
No,
Really.
really.
Hmm.
We're going there. It's not a loop.
Now we have Neo Nectar deck thinning. Back when CFA was glitched, this match would have actually ended by disconnect by now, just because both players taking a certain amount of time during turns.
Yeah.
I think Neo Nectar matches were impossible to do by that point.
Neo Nectar, Gold Paladin.
Yeah, even one of my games, I think it was when I was fighting Alexis. She was using Bermudas, and her turn took so long I DC'd.
Uh, yeah, that just happens for no reason.
Luckily, that got fixed by this point. Otherwise, this would be really difficult.
Yeah.
So the bad news for Alexis is they all gain three. All those musketeers gain 3k. Good news for her is she's only at 1 damage, so she could afford every hit without needing to guard. Meanwhile, Sandy actually doesn't have much hand,
Well, Alexis is sitting on a 7 card hand.
which
It just depends
which
on whether
again
or
she
not.
can keep.
Yeah, I mean, she could take unless she gets double crit, which probably won't happen.
Well, considering one of the crits got removed from play and one is in drop. Oh wait, no, I'm thinking something else. One crit is in the drop zone already, and her deck looks rainbow.
Yeah, I mean, stranger has happened
I mean,
though.
I'm not gonna say it is rainbow, but it looks rainbow. So with the idea in mind that this is probably rainbow, the odds of her getting, well, Alexis is gonna guard just in case. So now even if she
Mm,
does get double critted, she can take all the damage.
yeah. Hey, look, there's a crit.
Speaking of crits,
Hey,
and a
look, there's a
stand.
stand.
Not a crit, but kind of close to it be in terms of as bad.
Mm-hmm.
But Alexis does have guard,
Yup.
and she accidentally drew. I've seen a lot of people actually do that, where they accidentally draw when they wanna. And there's Tester Fox again, and Duckbill, because extra draws are nice. And Wash Up Raccoon. Raccoon actually adds to the loop because it can return 3 other units
Yeah.
as long as they're not triggers. And then Tester Fox just returns the triggers, and you get shuffles regardless.
Mm,
Sandy 2 passes. Draw trigger gives it to the rear, and a critical trigger also to the rear. So unless there's a perfect guard in that hand, this will hit
mm-hmm.
because 30k. So count. So retire, unflip, draw 2. Um, put 2 back in deck. She can put back both triggers if she wanted to, but if I were her, I'd put back a Researcher Fox just to keep the loop. And even Sandy goes with their sentiment that this is kind of annoying at this
She
point.
decides to put back the 2 triggers.
Well, I would have put back the heal trigger no matter what because she can. Putting back the draw with it isn't a bad idea. And admittedly, she can get the Researcher Fox back later.
Yeah.
And then Researcher Fox from the deck, and that implores the shuffle. So even though the triggers went to the bottom of the deck, they just get shuffled. So now they're your guess is as good as mine as to where they are.
Mm-hmm. It's like Russian roulette. That's what Vanguard is at this point. It's just Russian roulette.
Certain decks are like Gold Paladins are Russian roulette. Gold
Yeah,
Paladins
no.
are Russian roulette. Neo Nectar, I mean not Neo Nectar. They're gonna be Russian roulette, but not yet.
Hang on.
Well, actually, Musketeers are Russian roulette.
Just trying to see if somebody would come to my door because I saw the light turn on.
Probably somebody trying to find something. around the outside area.
Possibly. Now, Sandy can either stride, which would be a bad idea, or
Does she have a grade 3 in hand?
don't know. I don't know what her hand is.
Well, it's 3 cards for one thing. She has the ability to use Vera's skill to retire one of her units, check her top 5, and call one. But based on her situation, there's no guarantee as to whether or not that would even be a good thing.
Yeah.
Unless she can ride a Vera in Re-Legion, she might not have a lot of options. There's a
Yeah.
chance that she has enough units in hand to perform a stride. But out of all that hand, the idea that Alexis doesn't have a perfect guard to deal with it is kind of low. Not to mention she'd have to attack with the rear guard first because she uses stands, and Alexis can just take that, and would it be a trigger? Up, she's gonna stride. Discards Vera. To be honest, riding that and doing Legion might have been a better idea. Scratch that, it would have been a better idea because she would have been able to put back all those triggers. Something to note, when you perform stride like this, your unit isn't considered being in Legion. Alexis no guards and gets criticaled. She took a risk and unfortunately the critical trigger happened. Although a heal trigger is good for her because now if a heal comes up in any of the 2 checks, then Alexis will heal.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a heal.
Dirt.
Alexis lives.
Why'd she draw?
Did she draw?
She accidentally drew. That was a crit. Hmm.
Unfortunately, those misclicks do happen.
Yeah.
Returning that heal trigger probably saved her life.
Probably.
So now it depends on what happened, on what Alexis can do to capitalize.
Yeah.
And we have Re-Legion to capitalize.
Yup.
Tester Fox
Mate.
heal trigger.
Heal. Probably a stand.
I mean Researcher Fox heal trigger, stand, and crit.
Yep.
I just realized her soul has 2 of the 4 mates.
Mm-hmm.
The third just went back into deck.
So there's one either in her hand or
Or
in the
in the
deck.
deck.
What's that?
That is Taping Cat. Soul Blast 2, draw 1.
Well, the mates are now in the drop zone.
Yep. And there's one on the field. So they're going back into deck. Oh. Oh, that's actually bad for Sandy. Because now she can retire Wash Up Raccoon and Researcher Fox.
Yup.
And get both skills.
Yup.
So Lexi's Twin Drive. Heal trigger. Heals the heal. And another heal trigger.
Dirt.
Unfortunately, that one doesn't work.
Dirt face.
So this is 30k.
She's got two 10Ks in her hand though.
Yeah, but she has to use them.
Yeah.
So now
Ugh.
Sandy has almost no hand, not many options, and she discarded Vera the
Stride.
for the stride, so that's one thing she can't do now.
Mhm.
Draw, and she gets to return 5 units back into the deck.
5 units
Two
total.
for, yes, five total. Two for Tester Fox, three for Wash Up Raccoon.
Damn,
Yeah.
that's
And
funny.
Wash Up and Tester Fox can get the two triggers out also.
She also gets a wash up.
Yeah. She just put Wash Up into hand, and now she can do the Legion skill to put back two.
She needs to stop rushing. Durr.
I think Sandy is just getting irritated by what is happening, and they thought Musketeers took forever. So yeah, the Legion skill she used to get Researcher Fox, which she accidentally got when she did the cost for the Wash Up Raccoon,
Yeah.
and well yeah,
Well, hey, Legion again.
she got a Vera. I can't tell if she top decked that or if she had that in hand from the start.
Who knows? Crit, heal, um, crit, crit. Well then.
She wants this over.
Well, there's a Saul in damage and a Saul in the soul.
Yeah, but if she's not running four, there'd be a problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was more thinking about
The ability to
um.
get one on field.
Mm-hmm. Because getting a Saul on the field is kind of life.
Well, in Sandy's situation, it is.
Mm-hmm.
In Sandy's precise situation, it is.
Yep.
Now, one has
I've
to
never.
wonder how many of those top five were triggers.
Yeah.
Alexis does have good field presence, but she needs to be the ability to guard. And unfortunately, she has to realize that there are a lot of criticals back in deck, and she has two heals out because of the double heal trigger. One of which helped, one of which is just guard.
Mm-hmm.
Calls a quintet wall,
That sucks.
especially because she can't do anything about it.
Yeah. Well, that now becomes a 21K column, though, doesn't it?
Yeah. Also, it's probably going to be the column she attacks with first.
Possible.
I want to say Alexis has a perfect guard in hand. She does have one in damage, but oh, what?
The fuck?
Sandy's trying to end this.
Mm-hmm.
She's overextending to try to end this. Although that doesn't change the guard. But I think she's going for Decton at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, no, she stopped. To be perfectly honest, she kind of shouldn't have stopped, but she stopped.
Eh.
So the first one is 22 with the Vanguard. If I was Alexis, I'd take that, and she does. So she's
But it's
committing to
elite.
guarding the other two attacks.
Mhm.
21,
21,
31,
31,
41,
41.
46. Two to pass.
Depending on her hand, I'd tack one more on. This is why.
She's at the point where she's better off risking it than not.
hmm
Because at the end of the day, she is going to need hand after this.
Yep. And there's a stand.
And double trigger.
They've both double triggered a lot.
Well, both their decks are built to do it.
I know, it's just that, like, damn.
And that's not a heal trigger.
Nope.
Really good match, but unfortunately, she couldn't no pass. And it's actually better that she didn't no pass because the stand trigger would have meant death anyway.
Yeah.
So, good games, great match. And AE wins this one.